Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it to the final lesson in our series of R.A.F.T, Built How to Write a Paragraph. We have made it to the end, which is the letter T, thoughtful conclusion. This is the step that a lot of people think is either very easy or something that they don't need. And it couldn't be less true. You do need a conclusion. You do need a sentence that wraps up your thoughts for the reader, that reminds them one more time of what it is you're trying to prove, what you want them to think or do differently or believe. And we're going to show you how to do that. It's one sentence, and it can be really tricky to write, and we've got some really interesting and fun tips and tricks in here to help you. So, thoughtful conclusions. Here are some things that are really important to remember about a thoughtful conclusion. One, it is very important because it ends, not only does it end your paragraph nicely, but it also wraps up your thoughts. Without a conclusion sentence, and if you just were to end after your fact and explanation, it really will sound awkward and unfinished, like you're in the middle of a thought. So your conclusion wraps everything up, it ties everything really nicely, and it makes it clear to the reader that you are finished writing, which is important. Two, it uses a circular structure, which means it circles back around to what you've said in the beginning. So it reminds your reader of your answer, of your facts and explanations that you gave to support your answer. So it reminds them of all those really important details that you brought up. Here are some things that we want to make sure we don't do in our thoughtful conclusion. One, we do not want to just simply rewrite your introduction and your answer. You've written that already. As a reader, we've read it already. So there's no point in you copying and pasting it, putting in there a second time. It's almost a waste of your reader's time. You can use those same ideas, but you want to write it in a new way. Two, we want to try and not use overused transitional phrases like in conclusion or finally. Those were phrases that we learned when we were first learning to build paragraphs and sentences in elementary school. But now that we're in 7th grade, we are going to use more sophisticated sentence starters to make our writing sound more sophisticated itself. And we'll show you some examples. Third, this is probably the biggest mistake that people make. You do not want to introduce a new idea that you haven't discussed yet. This isn't an opportunity for you to bring up a third reason why TikTok is appropriate for school, because you won't have time to develop that and explain that idea. So you want to only stick to the ideas that you've brought up already. So here are some of those sentence starters that we mentioned to you in the beginning. These are, the list could go on and on, you guys. These are just a bunch that I pulled from various resources that any of them would work. Again, it depends on what the rest of your sentence will say. So you're going to have to kind of play around with them, but these are all really great options instead of some of those more overused phrases that we learned when we were in elementary school. So let's look at an example. Here's the paragraph that I've been building about the question, should graffiti be considered art? Now, here's what I want to show you. These first sentences, R.A.F.F., I've written already. All I did was I copied and pasted them over from R.A.F.T lesson 2. I didn't rewrite anything. So here's my reel in the reader with my hook technique. I started with a question. Have you ever walked down a street and seen a breathtaking piece of art displayed on the side of a building? This type of art, known as graffiti, sparks much debate. Here's my answer. Notice it's just one sentence. These beautiful pieces that these brilliant artists work so hard to create should be considered art. Notice here that I don't say why. I just give the answer. Many of you are writing on and on, telling me why TikTok is appropriate for school. No, just yes or no. Here, the facts. These are 2 sentences that I copied from an article and pasted here. And I put them in quotation marks to show the reader that I didn't write them. Okay? And then in the E, the explanation, I used a sentence starter to prove why that sentence supports my answer. And I did that twice here, right? So now in my conclusion, I have to think, okay, what are the main points that I'm trying to make in my paragraph that I want my reader to remember as they stop reading what I've written here? So I've picked a sentence starter, all things considered. Graffiti exhibited on the sides of buildings provides financial and cultural opportunities for the community and should therefore be considered art. So let me show you what I did. I went back to my 2 facts. My first fact is about how graffiti can help businesses make money, right? So it's in my quote, it says that Banksy's pieces can sell over $1 million at auction. So when he paints on the side of a building, the building's property value increases. So if there's a store and on the side of the store is one of these $1 million pieces of art, well, now that building is worth more money. So the business owner is making out. So it helps people financially, which I've put here in my conclusion. The second fact here says that everyone in the community can go look at art for free, right? They can just walk down the street and have access to this graffiti. They don't have to pay to go into a museum. So it also provides cultural opportunities for people to see artwork, and should therefore be considered art, which now I've circled it back to my answer. So I've said all of this. I've summarized my argument in one sentence. I'm going to challenge you to limit your conclusion to one thoughtful sentence. That's going to mean you have to think really hard about what you're going to put in that sentence. Okay? So let's look at what you're going to do this week. So your task is to go back to R.A.F.T. Lesson 2, which Ms. Fox and I are going to move up to the top in our independent work section so you can find it easier. You're going to copy and paste the R.A.F.T. sentences from Lesson 2 onto Slide 8. So copy the R.A.F.F. that you've already written. Then you'll choose a thoughtful conclusion sentence starter on Slide 4. And last, you'll use that sentence starter to write your thoughtful conclusion on Slide 8. So here's where you're going to be doing your work today. These first 4 sections, you've done all of this already. All you need to do is copy and paste them. The only new sentence you are writing this week is your thoughtful conclusion. Use the sentence starters. Look back at my example as a model. You can use that as a template and then just stick in your own information if that will be helpful to you. If you are looking for a bonus opportunity, which you should be really grateful for because I don't offer bonus opportunities often at all. So you should take me up on this because I can't promise you that it'll happen again anytime soon. And it's just because I'm in a giving mood. So you're welcome. Click here, this link. It will ask you to, it'll force you to make a copy of this. It should anyway. So you are going to, this is essentially going to ask you to make a revision to some of the work that you've already done. So open the assignment called R.A.F.T. Lesson 2, copy and paste the R.A.F.T. sentences from Lesson 2 onto the next slide. So you are going to copy and paste what you've already done on R.A.F.F. into here. Okay. Then you are going to use any comments that I've left for you on Lesson 2, on Lesson 1 and Lesson 2, and make any necessary revisions. You're going to make sure that your revisions are typed in a different color and attach this to your R.A.F.T. Lesson 3 assignment. So if I told you that you needed to make revisions to your fact or your answer, you're going to make those revisions, but then you're going to type it in a new color. Okay, so pick blue, purple, pink, whatever, so I can see the changes that you've made. This is an opportunity to go back and say, okay, how can I make my work a little bit stronger? And then attach it. Okay, so that's your bonus opportunity. Again, I don't offer bonuses frequently, so I hope that you all take me up on this opportunity. And you'll get a bonus, some bonus points in for quarter 1. Okay, so here's your rate your understanding. Take the arrow, drag it to where you feel like you are, and then rate your understanding, especially if you put anything less than 5. Why? It's really helpful information for me. And then as always, please turn in your assignment on Google Classroom when you're finished. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Again, building a paragraph is, especially this type of paragraph, can be tricky. So I'm here to help if you need me. Good luck.